Hey, Shalom Israel, Most High in Christ bless. I'm Officer Daniel, and we about to go over a quick class here titled Behind Enemy Lines. Behind Enemy Lines. All right. A lot of times as we begin to walk in the truth and we go through many things, we experience many things, we grow in many areas, and we notice the challenges that's going to be set before us. But some challenges and some battles tend to sneak up on us. All right. And then sometimes we fight in that battle on the other side, that behind the enemy lines, right? So that's what we're going to touch today. And as we get through it, y'all basically going to begin to understand the direction of the class. Give me Titus. Sirach. We're going to start off with Sirach, Sirach 2. I don't have this, so you should know what I want. Sirach chapter 2, read verse 1.
Sirach chapter 2 and verse 1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation.
So when you begin to, like how David said, you turn your foot to the testimonies of the Lord, God said that you have to prepare your soul because you're going to have temptations that you're going to have to overcome. Temptations within. I remember Bishop addressed a lot of the challenges that we face, and then he summed it up into three things: congregational trials, personal trials, and household trials. Right? Read it again.
My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation.
Prepare thy soul for temptation. Read.
Set thy heart aright and constantly endure.
And you have to set yourself aright in order to endure the trial to come. Because that's the reason for your studying. We are studying, we are reading these scriptures in order to prepare ourselves for the trials that's going to be set before you, so you can conquer them, right? Go to Matthew chapter 10, and now we're going to begin to address one of the trials that many brothers and sisters are going to face. The battle, being behind those enemy lines. Hold on, let me get there. Matthew 10, and I want you to read 34.
Matthew chapter 10 and verse 34. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword.
That's preparing yourself for the tribulation to come. Coming over here, confessing that you are an Israelite, I'm sorry to break it to you, but it ain't no green grass over here. The tribulation is first. The green grass comes later. The green grass comes kingdom, right? Read.
For I am come to set a man at variance against his father.
That's at alt. You're going to have problems, issues. Read.
And the daughter against her mother.
Come on.
And the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law.
Read.
And a man's foes shall be they of his own household.
And God says your enemies are going to be they of your own house. So you're going to be fighting a battle, right? A battle without. You're going to be going to camp. You're going to be battling for the souls of your people. You're going to be battling the other nations. And you're going to be battling when you come home. You're going to be battling on the plantation. Get off work. Some of you brothers are going to come home to a battle, to a fight. Read 36 again.
And a man's foes shall be they of his own household.
Now watch this, 37.
He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me.
You know, when you trim your ways in that battle, when the battle is set before you, a lot of you going to have the gospel. It's going to burn inside of you like Jeremiah. And you're going to go home. And I remember when I did it, when the Lord first showed me, I went camp mode when I went home. Couldn't tell me nothing. I knew all the precepts. And you cutting, you rebuking with all authority. filled with the Spirit of the Lord. But yet it didn't work. They didn't understand the precept like you understood the precept. They didn't see the image or the depiction of Christ like you saw the depiction of Christ. The battle didn't go the way you thought it was going to go. Y'all was like, man, this is the precept. This is definitely going to win them over. There is, without a shadow of a doubt, they're going to understand this precept when I bring it out. Because you heard the captains bring it out. You heard Bishop bring it out. You heard the deacons bring it out. You was like, man, that's clear cut. That's cold-blooded. But it didn't quite go that way. Read it again.
He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me.
Going into that loving father or mother, meaning you gave up that fight. You began to trim your ways and choose their ways. They don't like coming to the Sabbath. They don't like Passover. They don't like feast days. They don't like Hanukkah. They don't like Pentecost. They don't like none of those things. So what they do, they continue to bring you, they continue to tell you happy birthday. They continue to bring you Christmas gifts. They teach your children their pagan holidays. They tell them happy birthday. They do those things, even though they know you already said you don't celebrate those things. You don't believe in it. And you showed it to them in the Bible. But yet, every now and then, they'll test. They'll push the mark. See how far they will let you go. They'll come over your house with pants. Your wife don't wear pants. Your daughters don't wear pants. But all of a sudden, your mother shows up, and she want to see how her baby was doing, and she got on pants. What do you do? Do you turn her around? Do you let her come in? These are the battles that are going to be set before you, and God is judging whether you are going to trim your ways and choose your parents. Choose your loved ones, supposed to be your loved ones, right? Your family, your daughters, your sons, or you're going to choose him. That's what he said. He that loveth father or mother more than me. Read.
And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me.
Is not worthy of me. So, a lot of times, this is the invisible battle that is set before us, but we forget it. We forget it because we caught up in our jobs. We caught up in rebuking everybody at our jobs. We caught up in rebuking everybody out on the street. We caught up in rebuking, teaching everybody that we know, all our friends, everything. And then we forget to establish the first battlefield. Give me that in second Ezra chapter 14. It's the first battlefield. After you done basically started to conquer the things that are within yourself. Watch this. Second Ezra chapter 14, read verse 12.
Second Ezra chapter 14 and verse 12. And there remaineth that which is after the half of the 10th part.
It might be first Ezra. I'm sorry. I'm not sure. Set thy house in order? Yeah.
Verse 13. Now therefore,
13. There you go.
Set thine house in order.
Uh-huh.
And reprove thy people.
That's that first battle. Set your house in order before you go out there and battle the rest of the spirits. Set your house in order. Battle those foes that Christ said is going to rise up against you. Read.
Comfort such of them as be in trouble.
Uh-huh.
And now renounce corruption.
And renounce corruption. So, a lot of times, like I said, we don't know that is the first battlefield. We don't know that. Because when we come into the truth, we think that it's all fine and dandy. It's all the grass is green on the other side. Now you super Israelite, fringes everywhere. And you tell this to everybody. And try to figure out what's the precept to bring my mama in. What's the precept to bring my father in. What's the precept to bring my 18-year-old son in, because he wicked. Watch this. Go to 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel chapter 2. And read verse 12. This ain't nothing new. Israel been dealing with this. We been had this battle set before us. 1 Samuel 2, read verse 12.
1 Samuel chapter 2 and verse 12. Now the sons of Eli were sons of Belial. They knew not the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And the priest's custom with the people was.
So the prophet Eli, his sons didn't know the Lord. Not just because you bring your children to the Sabbath and you put fringes and a border of blue on them, don't mean they know God. It don't mean they're going to drop everything they doing and follow what you believe. It don't mean that. Read.
And the priest's custom with the people was that when any man offered sacrifice, the priest's servant came while the flesh was in seething, with a flesh hook of 3 teeth in his hand.
So this going into the sacrifices that Israel brought to Eli, because he was the priest, and his sons. Read.
And he struck it into the pan or kettle or cauldron or pot.
Cook it.
All that the flesh hook brought up the priest took for himself. So they did in Shiloh unto all the Israelites that came thither. Also before they burnt the fat, the priest's servant came and said to the man that sacrificed, give flesh to roast for the priest.
Go ahead.
For he will not have sodden flesh of thee, but raw. And if any man said unto him, let them not fail to burn the fat presently, and then take as much as thy soul desireth, then he would answer him, nay, but thou shalt give it me now, and if not, I will take it by force.
So they were taking portions that didn't belong to them. That's what his sons was doing. That's why God said they didn't know him. They were abusing the priest's office. Give me Exodus chapter 29, the priest portion. This was the priest portion, and those sons were taking more than that they were allotted. They were abusing the people. Exodus 29, read verse 27.
Exodus chapter 29 and verse 27. And thou shalt sanctify the breast of the wave offering, and the shoulder of the heave offering, which is waved, and which is heaved up, of the ram of the consecration, even of that which is for Aaron, and of that which is for his sons.
That was the portion that was allotted to Aaron and his sons, that God commanded. But they said, nuh-uh. Go back. They said, verse 16. And if any man say unto him, let him not fail to burn the fat presently, and then take as much as thy soul desire. They said, nah, we want all that. We want all that. And if you don't want to give it to me, we are going to take it by force. Jump down to verse 22.
1 Samuel chapter 2 and verse 22. Now Eli was very old, and heard all that his sons did unto all Israel, and how they lay with the women that assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation.
So not only did they take the offerings from Israel, more than the portion that was allotted to them, they were fornicating with the women, committing adultery, possibly, because a lot of those women were possibly married, right? They were doing all these things in the temple that they knew they wasn't supposed to do, because you know why? Their father told them the law. He was the priest, but they chose evil. They chose to be wicked. Go to 1 Samuel 25 and 2. 1 Samuel 25 and 2.
1 Samuel chapter 25 and verse 2. And there was a man in Maon, whose possessions were in Carmel. And the man was very great, and he had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats, and he was shearing his sheep in Carmel.
So this is Nabal, right?
Now the name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife Abigail, and she was a woman of good understanding and of a beautiful countenance.
Read, jump down. We're not going to read the whole thing. I just want to get some of the points. Read verse 10.
Verse 10. And Nabal answered David's servants and said, who is David, and who is the son of Jesse? There be many servants nowadays.
Sorry, I jumped out. Read verse 5 first.
Verse 5.
Sorry.
And David sent out 10 young men. And David said unto the young men, get you up to Carmel and go to Nabal, and greet him in my name.
Jump down to verse 10 now.
Verse 10. And Nabal answered David's servants and said, who is David, and who is the son of Jesse?
So when David sent out messages to Nabal because he needed assistance, because he was running from Saul, Nabal asked his servant, who is this guy David you talking about? I don't know him. But David was known throughout all the region, throughout all Israel, for the great works that he did in the Lord's name. That's showing you this man's character. Read.
There be many servants nowadays that break away every man from his master.
Read verse 14.
Verse 14.
No, hold on. Sorry. Yeah, read verse 14.
But one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, Behold, David sent messengers out of the wilderness to salute our master, and he railed on them. But the men were very good unto us, and we were not hurt. Neither missed we anything, as long as we were conversant with them, when we were in the fields.
So not only did he say he didn't know David, because he said he had nothing to do with him, he railed on David's messengers as well. Read.
They were a wall unto us both by night and day, all the while we were with them keeping the sheep. Now therefore know and consider what thou wilt do. For evil is determined against our master and against all his household.
Because David's response was war. That was his response to Nabal. All right, you don't know me? All right, we about to put you to death. Go ahead.
For he is such a son of Belial.
He is such a son of what?
Of Belial.
So keep in mind, this is Abigail, right? And her husband, Nabal. And Nabal was known for being a son of Belial. But Abigail was righteous. Abigail was righteous. So we talking about a righteous sister with a wicked husband. A husband that didn't believe in the Lord. Right? These are going back into what we brought out in the beginning. A man's foes will sometimes be they of his own house. Read.
That a man cannot speak to him. Then Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves and 2 bottles of wine, and 5 sheep ready dressed, and 5 measures of parched corn.
Jump to 23.
Verse 23. And when Abigail saw David, she hasted and lighted off the ass and fell before David on her face and bowed herself to the ground and fell at his feet and said, Upon me, my Lord, upon me let this iniquity be.
What iniquity? The iniquity of her husband, because he was a foolish man. He was declaring war for a war that he was not ready for. Read.
And let thine handmaid, I pray thee, speak in thine audience.
Go ahead.
And hear the words of thine handmaid. Let not my Lord, I pray thee, regard this man of Belial, even Nabal.
This man of Belial, even Nabal. Finish that.
For as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, thine handmaid, saw not the young men of my Lord, whom thou didst send.
No. So even with this situation, like how we was dealing with the last situation, so the prophet Eli, he had wicked sons that didn't believe in the Lord. Sister Abigail, she had a wicked husband. He didn't believe in the Lord. Right? Go to 2 Kings 16. 2 Kings 18, sorry. Read verse 1.
2 Kings chapter 18 and verse 1. Now it came to pass in the 3rd year of Hoshea, son of Elah, king of Israel, that Hezekiah, the son of Ahaz, king of Judah, began to reign. 25 years old was he when he began to reign. And he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name also was Abi, the daughter of Zechariah. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that David his father did.
So King Hezekiah was a righteous man, right? Jump over to 21, and we're going to read verse 1.
2 Kings chapter 21 and verse 1. Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 55 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hephzibah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord.
He did that which was what?
Which was evil in the sight of the Lord.
Now, King Manasseh was evil, right? Watch who King Manasseh is the descendant of. Read.
After the abominations of the heathen, whom the Lord cast out before the children of Israel.
Go ahead.
For he built up again the high places which Hezekiah, his father.
His what?
His father.
Read.
Had destroyed, and he reared up altars for Baal.
So, like I said, again, this is a lot of times the battle that we face, being behind enemy lines. When the enemy is them of your own house, your own foes. You understand? And this happened to us throughout history. So don't get it in your mind just because God has bestowed this wisdom and understanding upon you, and now you wear fringes and you keep the Passover and you there at the Sabbath, and you force your kids to go, or you force your husband to go, or you force your wife to go, that everybody's righteous. Everybody is going to be the chosen of the Lord. No. It don't work like that. Give me 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 13.
1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 13. And the woman which hath an husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. For the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband.
So God already through the spirit of Paul through the Spirit of Christ was already instructed to deal with matters like this when you have an unbelieving wife or an unbelieving husband in a relationship. Because why? Going back, we do understand that sometimes this is the battle. Read.
For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife.
Sanctified by the wife. Why? Because they're pleased to dwell. They're going to do the things that you set up in the house. If a husband has an unbelieving wife and he sets this up in his house and she does it, she is sanctified because she is pleased to dwell. Vice versa, meaning if a wife wins over her husband through her what it says in 1 Peter 3, her chaste conversation, she can begin to get him to keep the Sabbath, begin to get him to remove Christmas from out the house, stop eating pork, right? Go ahead.
And the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean.
Else were your children unclean. Because in the most cases, when you're dealing with a house divided, you have that child going from one house to another. One parent teaching them one thing, the other parent teaching them the other. Watch this. And a lot of times we deal with those situations, and that's what we're about to get in. How can we deal with situations like that? What are the weapons to this battle that we use? That's what we're about to get into. Let me get that video first. Because a lot of us go through these situations and we are lost in these situations. We don't know what to do. Play that. She won't. Hold on. Let me get the top.
Yeah.
She won't let her ex see his daughter. Watch what happens next. Play that.
My boss let me off since I finished all my work. Is Kylie ready?
Where's my child support, Brian?
Yeah. Here's $100. Well, it's almost. It's $98, but I do get paid on Friday, and I'll give you the $250 left when I pick up Kylie for the weekend. Does that work?
You're supposed to have it today, and once again, you don't.
I'm sorry. It's only 3 more days.
No payment, no play date.
Wait. Come on, Trish. You know I promised to take her to the comic book shop tonight. Plus, I gave you my last $100. I'm trying here.
98? Clearly not hard enough. I guess you'll just have to wait till Friday.
You can't be.
Who's at the door? Is Dad here?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, honey. That wasn't him.
Oh, do you know when he is coming?
I mean, you know your father. He might not even make it.
But I wanted to go to the comic book store.
I'm sorry, honey. I'll take you next week. Yeah? Okay.
You see that? Hold on, cut it there. So the brother is already, the system is already set up against them. So they already have trained the woman into going into this straight process, even with a brother that's trying. A brother's trying to be there for his daughter, you know what I'm saying, trying to make things right. And the wife or the mother of the child is so distraught with the system set in place that she would implement things like that without even knowing it. Oh, you don't do good enough. Your father ain't good. Turn the child against the father, knowing that he's trying to be there for his child, right? And a lot of us are going through those things and we don't know how to deal with those matters. Give me Proverbs. No, sorry. Give me Exodus. Exodus. Do I want Exodus? First, let's deal with Proverbs 22:15. Let's deal with that first. Because a lot of times, brothers, in situations like that, you have to pick and choose your battles. Pick and choose your battles. You dealing with a scornful woman, and she's stopping you from seeing your children and setting everything in order like how the scriptures say in 1 Timothy when you're supposed to provide for them of your own house. Don't allow her to do it. Because I didn't play the whole video, but if you go back and you watch it, that throughout that whole video, she ran him down into the ground at every point. You just do what's necessity, the things that you are obligated to do. Don't go over and beyond for a woman that's driving you into the ground when you're trying to set things right with your daughter. Read that.
Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 15. Foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him.
Sometimes in situations when you're dealing with that, they change the spirit of your child, and then your child does foolish things. That's going back into Proverbs, 1 Corinthians 7, where we pull where the child was unclean. They teach them unclean ways. And a lot of times you have to wait for the Lord to change that child's spirit to come back to you. You understand that? Because, yeah, you're going to teach. Give me that in Deuteronomy. Teach your child when it's lie down.
Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 7.
6, yeah.
And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house.
Go ahead.
And when thou walkest by the way.
Come on.
And when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand.
So when you're dealing with an unbelieving spouse, that's almost probably the best you can do when it comes to dealing with your children. Every chance, every time, and every bit that you get with that child, you need to be teaching them God's commandments, correcting them, teaching them the right way to go. Because on the other end, that child is being unclean, being taught Christmas, being taught Thanksgiving, being taught birthdays. That's what they're doing. And then a lot of times what brothers do is, oh no, you're not teaching my child this and you're not teaching my child that. And you end up in jail. You end up in jail, or you end up with someone like that. She go full-blown Super Saiyan dragon on your behind. Right? Read it again.
And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up.
Just teach them. Teach them, and Lord's willing, what the scriptures say, they won't depart from you. When you teach them that, they will remember everything that you have taught them. And Lord's willing, they may come back. They may say, you know what? You may have been telling all those lies on their father, but they see through it. Right? Now the parents. Give me Exodus chapter 20. Still talk about these are the tools needing to be implemented in this battle that you're going to be fighting when you're behind enemy lines, when it's them of your own house. Exodus 20, read verse 12.
Exodus chapter 20 and verse 12. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee.
Now, I remember one time I had my mother pull this on me when I was teaching her, and she said, oh, you supposed to honor me. And I'm like, what? Honor you in what? I'm supposed to come over here and tell you happy birthday? A lot of times Christianity has taken the minds of our people and they begin to misscrew God's words, right? So let's explain it real quick. Give me Ephesians 6:1. Ephesians chapter 6 verse 1, read that.
The book of Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 1.
Children,
obey your parents in the Lord.
In what?
In the Lord.
So that's what it's talking about when it says honor your mother and your father. To honor someone means to obey them. So God says, obey them in the Lord. What meaning if your parents were teaching you what God commanded, because that's what parents are supposed to do. What we read in Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter, right? Proverbs 23. Read that. Proverbs chapter 23, verse 22. Still going into honoring your parents. Remember, these are the things that you have to implement. This is the battle that you fight. A lot of times we done tried the rebuking. We done tried the strong correcting. We done tried the you wicked, this, that, and the other. But this is dealing with those parents that are unbelieving, right? They unbelieving, and sometimes you have to give them the compassion, and then sometimes you got to give them some fire. I know I do it sometimes too. Telling my daughter happy birthday. The hell? But read that.
Proverbs chapter 23, verse 22. Hearken unto thy father that begat thee, and despise not thy mother when she is old.
Come on.
Buy the truth.
By the what?
Buy the truth.
Come on.
And sell it not.
See, so it says, hearken unto thy mother, that begotten thee. Same thing, honor or obey. And despise not thy mother when she is old. Buy the truth. Meaning we gain the truth. Purchase the truth. What is the truth? Give me that. The truth. It says, buy the truth.
Psalm chapter 119 and verse 142. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness.
Come on.
And thy law is the truth.
It says, and thy law is the truth. And thy law is the truth. So hearken unto your mother and despise not her from and thy, it says what? And thy, go back to it so I don't mess it up. When she is old, right? Despise her not when she is old. Buy the truth. Purchase the truth. Read.
Buy the truth and sell it not.
And don't sell it. Don't give it away. Don't lose the wisdom. Read.
Also wisdom and instruction and understanding.
Finish that.
The father of the righteous shall greatly rejoice. And he that begetteth a wise child shall have joy of him.
So that's what we strive for. We strive for dealing with our parents uprightly, showing them the wisdom and instruction of the Lord, praying and fasting that they do understand and Lord's will one day come into this truth, right? But if they don't, that's just, it has to be what do you call it when you when there's dead people at war? Okay. Casualties. Thank you. My brother. Sometimes there's casualties when it comes to war. Right? Read. Finish that.
Thy father and thy mother shall be glad, and she that bare thee shall rejoice.
So it's a joyful thing when you can raise your children in this truth, and then they basically they don't fall away. They don't get taken up into the world, right? Because you raised them in the truth. Give me the last one, Ephesians 6 and 4. Because these are some of the precepts that your parents may pull on you. I know I had them pulled on me. They pulled it on me, and I shut it down quick. Ephesians 6, read verse 4.
Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 4. And ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord.
So it says, provoke them not to wrath. Provoke your children not to wrath. It's not talking about the children's wrath. I don't have somebody try to explain it to me that once. It's talking about the Lord's wrath.
Colossians chapter 3 and verse 5. Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth: fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry. For which things sake the wrath of God cometh on the children of disobedience.
Save the wrath of God that cometh on the children of disobedience. Because why? It's disobedient to disobey your parents. It's disobedient. We don't read 3 laws that said the children are supposed to honor, obey, and love their parents. It's disobedient, and once you fall in the midst of disobedience, the wrath of God comes upon you. Read verse 6.
Verse 6. For which things' sake the wrath of God cometh on the children of disobedience.
That's the children of disobedience. That's the provoke not thy children to wrath. To wrath, right? So a lot of times when you're dealing with your unbelieving family, when you're dealing with unbelieving children, or unclean, I'll put it like that, unclean children, these are the things that need to be implemented so they can see the righteousness. Give me the light real quick. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 23. These are the things that you have to display. And those are the tools that you use in that war, in that fight, while you're behind those enemy lines. Read.
Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 23. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life.
That's the light that you have to display. Now, flip side, because sometimes we are dealing with Satan himself when it comes to family. I have those, mainly on my wife's side. My family, they are all right. But my wife's side, man, I got something for him. Hey, give me Proverbs chapter 12, read verse 26. This is what we do for if you got family that's on my wife's side. If you got your family and they on my wife's side, this is what you do.
Proverbs chapter 12 and verse 26. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor.
God says that the righteous is more excellent than his neighbor. Our neighbors are the children of Israel, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Those are our neighbors, the children of our people. The white man is not your neighbor. The Arab man that's selling you Dutches at your corner store is not your neighbor. Read.
But the way of the wicked seduceth them.
And the way of your neighbor can seduce you. It can seduce you. If you like hanging out with your wicked ass cousins, they can seduce you. You like hanging out with your wicked brother, your mother. You spend a whole bunch of time at mama's house waiting for her to finish cooking. She might give you some pork. I'm just letting you know. Ecclesiastes 27. This is what we do. We say, how do you stop those ways from seducing you? Sirach, the 27th chapter, 11th verse. This is dealing with scoffing family. Family that don't respect what you believe in. Family that say you in a hate group. Family that you can't even have a conversation with, because the minute you call just to say how you doing, they already cussing you out. You didn't even bring up the Bible. You just, hey, mama, how you doing? You know what, baby? I'm all right, but I hate the fact that you in that hate group and you around all them brothers and you know, I was watching the news and they said that you guys hate white people. Read that.
Sirach chapter 27 and verse 11.
Come on.
The discourse of a godly man is always with wisdom.
Always with wisdom. So your discourse, your conversations should have wisdom in it. That's why I can't really talk to my family that much. We got to keep it short. Hey, Ma, how you doing? Everything all right? How my sisters? How my brothers? All right. And then you get that dead silence because you don't know what else to say. You done hit all the punchlines. You done hit all the, you got a to-do list and you done hit all of them. So now it's like, you still celebrating Christmas? Read it again.
The discourse of a godly man is always with wisdom.
Read.
But a fool changeth as the moon.
That's the unbelievers. They change. They got different faces. 1 minute, you the best because they can't find nothing against you. Then the next minute, you in a hate group. Read.
If thou be among the indiscreet, observe.
The indiscreet is sinners. Sinners of our people. People that break God's commandments. They don't believe in God. They don't want to hear nothing about God. They don't care what that Bible say. That's the indiscreet. Read.
Observe the time.
Do what?
Observe the time.
Hey, mama, I came over here to check on you, make sure you was all right, but it's time to go. That's what observe the time means. Read.
But be continually among men of understanding.
That's who God tells you to be continually by. Why? Because Proverbs 12. Being around that stuff enough will seduce you. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33. It will seduce you. You can't spend too much time with mama. We're not, because I know I heard the videos, I heard the rumors. Oh, IUIC has destroyed my marriage. IUIC has destroyed my family. IUIC told me I can't speak to my mama. The Bible don't say that. The Bible just say observe the time. Because eventually, like I said, your brothers are going to ask you to go to the strip club. They're going to ask you, do you want to hit this joint? Because they know you. They saw you in your wickedness for 15, 20, 30, 35 years. They know what things to pull on you. Read.
1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 33.
Come on.
Be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners.
Evil, God said it already to you. Those evil communications can corrupt you. The wicked seduceth the righteous. That's why you have to observe the time. Ecclesiastes 12 and 1. I'm almost done. Sirach 16 and 1. Sirach chapter 16 verse 1.
Sirach chapter 16 and verse 1. Desire not a multitude of unprofitable children, neither delight in ungodly sons.
What? Neither delight in what?
In ungodly sons.
That's why we can't put too much, how the scriptures say, credit, too much stock. Right, thank you. You can't put too much stock in certain spirits, in children. What better are you than those same mothers that after the judgment of the Lord pass on their sons? Oh, my baby was a good baby, but he was selling dope on 16th Avenue. My baby ain't never did anything wrong, but he was robbing and breaking into people's houses. A lot of these kids are wicked, man. Wicked. And they are given into covetousness and all manner of lusts and sin. And God says you can't put too much stock in them. Read it again.
Desire not a multitude of unprofitable children, neither delight in ungodly sons.
Neither delight in ungodly sons. Because just as you proved your wife, just as you prove your brothers, just as you prove your leaders, you have to prove your children as well. Those are spirits coming out of the wound of your wife that God is sending back, the spirits that God is sending back on the earth. You don't know those spirits. You don't know. Eli didn't know if his sons was going to be righteous or wicked. King Hezekiah didn't know if Manasseh was going to be a righteous king or a wicked king. Those spirits you have to prove. So don't be hasty to credit them. Fulfill your obligation, of course. But don't be hasty to credit them. Read.
Verse 2. Though they multiply, rejoice not in them, except the fear of the Lord be with them.
Except for the fear of the Lord. That's getting to that proving process where you know you done did your job. Where you can get the joy out of your kids like the Lord intended. Because those supposed to be the fruits of what it says, scripture say, the gifts of the Lord. Read. That was it on that? You read down to verse 3.
Verse 3. Trust not thou in their life, neither respect their multitude. For one that is just is better than 1,000. And better it is to die without children than to have them that are ungodly.
Woo! That's cold-blooded, man. That is cold. I don't know how much clear-cut can it get. That's why we pray for righteous children, man. Because God says it's better just to have one righteous. Just one righteous child that could be an avenger for you than to have a whole bunch of wicked-ass children. I want to read that again. Hey, read that last part again, man. Read verse 3 again.
Verse 3. Trust not thou in their life, neither respect their multitude.
Woo.
For one that is just is better than 1,000. And better it is to die without children than to have them that are ungodly.
Woo. Hey, man, I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes I be questioning, like, why brothers don't got no children, man? And I'm starting to figure it out. I'm starting to put 1 and 2 together, man. You out there gambling, man. You don't know if your child gonna come out righteous or the devil that the Bible speaks of. Hey, give me Mark 13, man. We almost done. Mark 13, read verse 12. For real, man. You might bring Judas back in the earth for real. Hey, read that.
Mark chapter 13 and verse 12. Now the brother shall betray the brother to death, and the father the son, And children shall rise up against their parents and shall cause them to be put to death.
You see that? God says some kids are going to put you in situations where it's going to cause you your life. Those are going to be the kids when how the scriptures say, spare not the rod in correction. Some kids are going to call CPS on you. Some kids are going to run to the police because they have fully been drenched in believing that this white man is their savior instead of honoring the things that are written in the Bible. Honoring their parents like the scriptures have told them to do. Obeying their parents so their life can be extended on this earth. This place has fully drenched our children in the midst of darkness. And we fighting for them. We fighting for their souls. Luke 16:9. Some kids are gonna cost you, man. That's why Bishop said. This is every time. I don't know how many times Bishop said it, but I remember when he said it. I'm never gonna forget it. I say, shit, man. Sometimes you just gotta make new kids. Hey, God blessed you, brothers, man. God blessed you, brothers. God gave you the ability to birth life. You got life. Newsflash, sisters, y'all don't make life, we do. For real, we got godlike qualities. We got the ability to create life. They grow in our loins and our sacks. Read that. Give me Luke 12. I ain't want that one. Luke 12:51.
Luke chapter 12 and verse 51. Suppose ye that I am come to give peace on earth. I tell you nay, but rather division.
See that? So God says when it comes to your family, don't think that a lot of times the situation is always going to be, he come to bring my family together. What he says, what's that Christian saying? A family that prays together stays together. Hey, read that again, man, what Christ said. The hell is
Suppose
this?
ye that I am come to give peace on earth. I tell you nay, but rather division.
Division. Christ said he came for division. Read.
For from henceforth there shall be 5 in 1, house divided.
House divided.
3 against 2.
Come on.
And 2 against 3.
Come on.
The father shall be divided against the son. And the son against the father.
Read.
The mother against the daughter. And the daughter against the mother. The mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law.
Read.
And the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law.
Come on.
And he said also to the people, when you see a cloud rise.
No, that was it. Sorry. Read verse 53 again.
53. The father shall be divided against the son.
So this is the division that he said he came to set forth. Read it again.
The father shall be divided against the son. And the son against the father.
Read.
The mother against the daughter, and the daughter against the mother. The mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law.
So these divisions are going to be caused by some is going to choose the light, choose the truth. And some are going to choose darkness. Not everyone God is going to call. You understand? And you might have to accept some of those casualties. You are going to lose mothers. You're going to lose sons. You're going to lose brothers. And you have to accept it. You have to accept that those are going to be casualties while you're in that war. My last script, give me Matthew 10. Matthew chapter 10. Read verse 17.
Matthew chapter 10 and verse 17. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. And ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake.
So God says, beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the counselors, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. This is the judgment that is set forth for some of the prophets. For this word's sake, we are going to be set before judges and judged by man. Some of us may be in prison. Some of us may die. You understand? This is the battle set before us. And the battle in our house as well. Read.
And he shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake.
Read.
For a testimony against them and the Gentiles. But when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what ye shall speak. For it shall be given you in that same hour what ye shall speak.
Because the Holy Spirit fall upon you. Read.
For it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you.
Read.
And the brother shall deliver up the brother to death, and the father the child.
So we seeing that. We seeing brothers are betraying brothers. The children are betraying mothers. The children are betraying fathers. Those are going to be the ones, the foes that are going to speak up against you. They're going to say, yeah, he was wicked. Yeah. He was teaching me that Hebrew Israelite hate group stuff. And then they're going to begin to institute laws where you can't even teach the truth in your own house. You can't teach it to them. All because this place hates God and hates the Bible. Read.
And the children shall rise up against their parents.
They gonna do what?
Rise up against their parents.
That's why you can't put stock in them. Some children are gonna rise up against their father, against their mother, because they don't understand what love is. When you don't have the Spirit of God in you, how can you understand what is actual love? I asked that question. You know the answer I got? I don't know. That's the answer I got. How do you know if somebody love you? I don't know. Read.
And cause them to be put to death.
Cause them to be do what?
Put to death.
Read verse 22.
And he shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. But he that endureth to the end shall be saved.
Shall be saved. There was one more that I missed. Sorry. Go back to Matthew 19. I think that's the one where it says, yep, that's what I want. Matthew 19 and 29. Yeah.
Matthew chapter 19.
Hold on, what 29 say? Let me see. Yeah. That's it.
Matthew chapter 19 and verse 29. And everyone that hath forsaken houses.
All right, so don't worry, because a lot of times brothers might think this class is doom and gloom. Like, man, I'm gonna be hated to everybody. My kids gonna hate me. My brother gonna hate me. My mother gonna hate me. Damn. But Christ said he got something for you. This is the reward. This is the reward for the tribulation that you go through. The battle behind your enemy lines in your house. The reward. Read.
And everyone that hath forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife.
That's losing, because you're going to lose. It's going to be casualties. You're going to lose mothers, fathers, husbands, children, because they wicked. Some of them are not going to want to hear the gospel. They're going to say, I hate God, I hate you, and I hate my mother. That's what some children are going to say. Read.
Or children or lands for my name's sake.
For God's name's sake, because that's why we doing it. We understand the scriptures. We don't care if you hate God. If you hate God, you could bounce. You could get out. Why? Because as Abraham, for me and my house, we are going to serve the Lord. That's the only option you got. Read.
Shall receive 100-fold.
Shall receive what?
100-fold.
That's why I'm surrounded by family. I got more mothers, more fathers, more brothers, more children than I can even account for. So why am I worried about the ones that have forsaken me? That was it?
And shall inherit everlasting life.
And I get eternal life on top of that? That sounds like a W to me. So, if you are behind enemy lines and you're currently facing this battle, use the scriptures, implement it, stand on your ground, and don't fold. Don't trim your ways to seek love. And with that, I say shalom.
Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. I want you to know that you can view all our Sabbath classes live on IUIC TV. That's right, I said on IUIC TV. Download the app today. Shalom.
What is a nation?
men leading by example.